Executive Director and founder of Amherst Community Connections. I realized back in 1995 when I started working at the Nabrelon Soup Kitchen, I love people, I love to cook, but after a dozen years, I thought the problem of homelessness is not going to go away through my cooking. So as a result, in 2009, I started the Amherst Community Connections with the purpose of helping people get off the street, get into housing. And I don't know for the past 7 years how successful our agency has been, but this is the lessons that I have learned from working with these incredible people. As Victor put it, you are resilient, incredible, and courageous, but you deserve better. The description that I'm giving, I shouldn't be giving, because if you had your own housing, if you had a door you can go in and shut it, and have your own place to call home, you don't need me to say that you are courageous, resilient. You are who you are. That's the bottom line. So the obstacles that faced by the people who are without homes, at our pre-meeting tonight at our office, we had the pleasure of having 30 of the folks that in the audience tonight at our Amherst Community Connections, the pre-party, the pizza party. This is the message from them. The first thing is that without housing with low barrier, that it's impossible for them to get into the housing part. And what they mean by low barrier is that if housing, without asking them for their past, where were you in the past? Such as, were you involved in the jail legal system? That's the question, prevent them from getting into housing. Second thing is, did you owe your landlord any money? That were you a bad tenant? This question is asked over and over again. So that's the second barrier they experience. And the third barrier that they explained tonight at the meeting was that because lack of income to deal with this very expensive rental market here, so that's the economic barrier that they are facing. So the sentiment expressed tonight is housing is the solution for homelessness. Without the adequate housing, no matter how much service that we pile on you, whether it's food, whether it's tent, whether it's emergency shelter, whether it's detox center, whether it's jail, whether it's police involvement, whether it's psych unit, whether it's all those services that we have, including Amherst Community Connections, it's useless. Housing is what you need. All the rest is just to end it. How do we get housing? So this is the outcome of our brainstorm tonight. The first part of the concern is land. Where do you get a piece of land that the housing can take place? So the brainstorm result was we have a lot of conservation land. And to strike a balance between conservation for nature purpose and conservation for human enjoyment purpose, where is the piece that for people who need housing? So that's the first issue raised. And the second issue that raised at the meeting was if we can solve the land problem, take some land out of conservation, provide that for housing, where do you find the money for the housing? And money doesn't grow on trees, we all recognize that. So where do you find money? So I assure the participants at the meeting tonight, well, let's look into the town. So we have one of the speakers here mentioned about the CPA money, and someone else mentioned about the CDBG money. This is all good sources for funding, because these are money that come to town. We could get the money if we have the focus to get the money. But the other partner I want to stress is our Amherst Housing Authority. They are in charge of providing housing to low-income families and individuals with their ability to develop, which in Amherst, as we can see, all the properties that they manage has been so good in the quality, in the management. So this is a partner we cannot forget. So if we have money, we have partners, and the final piece is that if we can tap into the private donations, the private markets, And I'm so grateful to hear Ms. LaCour stated that the Amherst business community is in it with us, the people who need housing the most. So by going to all these places who have expressed great goodwill, I know that we can get it done. So the final piece is we have land, we have money, so what's the housing vision that you are thinking about? So at this meeting, I stated our agency, Amherst Community Connections, has been dreaming, thinking about this, a 40-unit housing. Why 40-unit housing? Well, in 2008, there is a publication that many of you sit here have participated in the work of this publication called The Road Home. Pioneer Valley 10-Year Plan to End Homelessness. In this wonderful book, it stated, in the valley, we need 520 units at that time in order to solve the homeless problem in the Pioneer Valley. So to date, after we had our intern check with the Springfield Housing Director, she stated Springfield has stepped up to the plate since 2008. They had provided upward of 2,060 units, and that's what they committed in the Road Home 10-year plan to end homelessness. So out of the 520 units, they provided 260 units. Now where do the rest of 260 units come from? And disappointingly, I must inform you, none of the towns or cities in the Pioneer Valley in the past 8 years has come up say, we are going to take the ownership of X units. So today before you, I want to urge our town leadership and our citizens that we are willing to commit, say on the 260 units, is 20 units too much to ask? Is 40 units too much to ask? I don't believe so, because in the recent feasibility study in 2010, paid for by the town, commissioned by the town housing committee, there were 19 people in 2009 identified to be people who had been chronically homeless, meaning they had been homeless for a year or more, and they have disabling conditions. So that was back in 2010. So if in those days there were almost 20 people have been identified to be chronically homeless, today, Vicky, our friend here, stated she is seeing a crisis, housing crisis among the people who are homeless. So she's seeing the impact of people on the church. So I want to say there is a housing crisis for the people who are homeless. So if I say, well, we were talking about 19 people who were chronically homeless, we need 19 units, but today the number has grown tremendously. So it's not too much to ask. We want 40 units of housing just for people. Thank you very much.
We have one last speaker, not on your program.